Welcome to another episode. Today I want to thank you for being here. Your support and your comments on the videos are greatly appreciated. I do want to say something in regards to the quality of guests that I'm having, and I appreciate them coming in, and I appreciate you also liking and following our channel. Today I bring you a special guest, and I'll actually lead it with asking you a question. Now, have you ever gone through a situation, some sort of adversity where you might have lost your job and now you don't know what to do, and either you have to work for yourself or you have your family that you have to support? Well, this young lady that I know, she lost her job during the COVID situation back in 2020, got laid off just like a lot of people have been or have experienced in the past, lost a job. And she has made the best out of it. I mean, she's actually doing really great. She's a real estate agent. I got into, trying to figure things out really. So I brought her on the show today because as a business owner or somebody that wants to or needs to take that leap of faith, in her situation, it was something where she had no choice. But some people do have a choice, and she gives us practical advice that I definitely took to heart, because it is something that a lot of people would actually want to know. So I will go ahead and lead off with that. Her name is Caitlin Kirk, and she has a beautiful family. So again, podcast is actually aimed towards the success factor in regards to wealth, but she definitely does have a lot of stuff. She's actually gone a long way from where I've known her from to where she's at now. So thank you again for watching the podcast. Again, comment and like. I will have also, why don't we do this? We'll do this. So if you comment on the video within the first 24 hours of it actually being uploaded, what I'm gonna do is I'll actually, I'll get you any book that you want. Like this podcast, I'm a strong believer in knowledge is wealth, and it's something that if you want a book, any of these books, I can get you a copy of these. I have a couple duplicate copies of some, but you can pick any book you want. I mean, I guess I put a limit of like $20 or something. I don't want you buying like a $50 book or something. But if you comment within the first 24 hours, I'll go ahead and like the video, and of course subscribe. I'll go ahead and actually ship one out to you via Amazon, and then I'll get the details for you later. But thank you so much. Hopefully you gained something from it. I know you will, because I did. And I will go ahead and see you at the end of the video. Hey, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to bring your knowledge and your experience to the public and to our audience. I would appreciate you having you here.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
You too. I know we've been friends for a long time, and you've been one of those people that have grown. Everybody has their challenges and their own path in life, and I've been very impressed with what you're doing and where you've taken, where you started to where you're at now, and it's still continuing to grow. So that's why I brought you out here, so that other people can, maybe take some of that and some of that motivation and enthusiasm and take it and put it into their life. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So for people that don't know you, can you share a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I actually moved to Texas from Florida for a job opportunity. And I want to say that was probably around like 2015. And so myself and my kids moved to Texas. Everything's going good. I'm working corporate America as an analyst for a manufacturer. And fast forward to 2020 and COVID hit. So, like a lot of people, I actually got laid off. So I had been laid off one other time, and gosh, I was probably in my early 20s working for an insurance company. So it was just kind of shocking, that I was in this situation like so many other people that had been affected. So I was drawing unemployment. Here I am laid off, like, oh my gosh, I got, a good severance package, but I'm still thinking like, what am I going to do? So my husband, Scott, he actually was like, you know what, why don't you get into real estate? And I always knew that like real estate was a really good path to wealth, actually, in all honesty, because you can invest in real estate, right? So I always knew that, but I didn't know like too much about it. But his sister actually worked for Keller Williams on the management side of it. So I decided that I would get my license. So that's and now I'm in real estate.
Mhm. Okay, wonderful. I mean, it's COVID impacted a lot of people, and you've taken something that, I mean, 2020, as we all know, if you've read in the news or just the media, I mean, it's been real estate has been one of those topics.
Yeah.
We're in, and we'll get into this, I'm sure. And we're in November of 2022, right? So
Right.
it's been one of those very seller, very hot markets, especially here in Dallas where you're at, right? I'm here in Dallas as well, and I think throughout the entire U.S. has been a hot market recently.
For sure, and definitely here.
Definitely here, right? So so that inspired you to get into real estate. It was your husband, and then also
Yes.
you saw an opportunity.
Yes, I saw an opportunity, and I just, went with it. And I really didn't know, right, like what was going to happen because I've always had a stable position in the workforce. I've, a salary and benefits, and for a long time I was a single mom, so I didn't have the opportunity to do something like this because it's very volatile, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is commission only. But then I was kind of thinking in my mind, like, if I can just sell one house a month, if I could do one house a month, I can definitely replace my income from being in corporate America, and I can have that freedom of being with my son, because at the time, my youngest was only like almost 2 years old, a year and a half old. So it was one of those things. It wasn't, I mean, it was scary to do it, but I always had the mentality, no risk, no reward. So
Right.
I was okay with it, and I'm like, I'm just going to give it a try. And if it doesn't work, I'll go back into the workforce. I have a business degree, I have a pharmacy certificate, so there's other things that I can do. But I really wanted to give it a shot, and it's been extremely good for me. I've done very well. I've been very blessed. I did a little under 8 million in sales in my first year, and I was with Keller Williams, and I ended up getting Rookie of the Year. And so I think what a lot of people don't understand about real estate is that as a real estate agent, I'm an independent contractor. I am my own boss and I work for myself. I think the disconnect is that consumers kind of see your brand, right? So they see a real estate agent and they're like, oh, she's with Keller Williams, or she's with, Coldwell Banker, or some other name that people know, Remax. But in actuality, you are your own business owner. It's you. You are your identity. And so every sale that I make, I have to get it. I have to earn it. I have to go for it.
Got it.
Yeah. So there's just, I think people kind of think of it like more like you're an employee. But when you get into it and you're on the sales side of it, it's much, much different. So they're telling you, you're the business owner, think like the business owner, act like the business owner, but the consumer doesn't really see you that way. They just see you, they don't understand how hard it is for you to make that relationship and acquire that customer and turn them into a client. So there was a lot of challenges along the way. But when I got into it because of COVID, there was a lot of wonky stuff going on in the economy, right? With COVID and everything. So in December of 2020, the interest rate was in the twos, right? So it was historically low. They were
Right.
giving away money, giving away free money. And so I was really blessed to have got into it during that time because everybody was buying, right? So the cost to borrow money was virtually nothing.
Yeah.
The feds were feeding money into the economy, and everybody was buying. So it was really a great time to get into it. I got a lot of experience. I got a lot of sales under my belt because of that. Fast forward to now, I've seen a major slowdown in production.
Got it.
And a lot of people have as well because interest rates are in the sevens. So
That's
you go
pretty high.
Yeah, it's pretty
Well, I'm going to
high.
ask you about that because I have a question about that. I mean, I've seen some projections by some experts and business leaders. So I'll ask you that towards the end. But you mentioned some of your challenges. Let me ask you two questions with that. Because as a new agent, somebody that's just taking that leap of faith, and again, it's strictly commissions, it's strictly sales, it's strictly building those relationships first. How long did it take you to get your first sale? And can you tell us a little bit about that? How that come about?
I want to say, and you'd think that I would know like off the top of my head, but I want to say 3 to 4 months before I got a commission.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what happened was I was doing an open house because my husband Scott always says all the time, you need to ask yourself, where can you find people that are buying and selling real estate? Well, open houses, right?
Right.
That's an opportunity for you to get face to face with an active buyer or seller or somebody that's at least entertaining it. So that was kind of my jam. That was like my bread and butter, was doing open houses. And I do better, some agents you can do it any way you want, right? You can cold call, you can door knock, you can send flyers, mailers, you can market brand, use social media. I'm better in person, so that's what I was doing. And my first sale was actually from the open house, and I sold that house.
Got it. Awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So you basically you had somebody, a couple, was it an individual came through the door?
It was actually a couple, and they were from California, and so that we saw an influx of buyers from California because the rates were so low, and there was a lot of people investing and moving to the area. The real estate market in California is much, much different than it is here in Texas, specifically Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is booming. But there was an influx of buyers from California. This couple was retired and they were looking for an investment, and it just ended up working out. I mean, they were in there for a long time, so I knew that they were really serious. So I pursued it, and that's how I got my first contract. So there's a lot of, misconceptions when getting into real estate. So sometimes people think it's very easy, right? And to a certain degree, you may consider that it's easy, I guess. It's a different type of career than a 9 to 5, putting the time in an office. But you are the only one holding yourself back in real estate, as with a lot of businesses. But the thing with real estate is that every day you're looking for your paycheck. Right? It takes years for you to develop like a sphere of influence that can feed your business and provide you repeat business and referral business. So I wasn't even from Texas, right? Like I had moved here around 2015, and I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't have a massive group and network of friends and family and things like that. So it was even more challenging because of that. So there's a lot of challenges, with any business, but real estate, it's very volatile. It's up and down. You can gain stability once you get traction, but sometimes it takes a while, and it almost seems like when I first started, they say like the statistic is crazy. Like so many realtors fail. So many, like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or something like that. And it's like 1% that's in production or something like that. So when I got into it, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to go with the crowd. I'm not going to go with what everyone else is doing. I'm going to look at the people that are top producers because success leaves clues and hints.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did, which maybe other agents weren't doing that. I don't know. But I just kind of figured it out and it ended up working really well on that
Got it.
aspect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so that was a challenge, first of all, to get your first sale. But what were some of the other challenges that you had when you first started?
Um, well, the other thing is that, when you get your real estate license, you take so many hours of education and then you take a test, national and a state test to become licensed. And there's a lot of real world challenges that they don't teach you, right? That can't really be taught. So every single circumstance, every single contract, every single client, every single transaction is different from the next in some form or fashion. These are things you can't read in a book. These are things you can't learn in a seminar. These are things that come with time and doing it so often, doing it so much. So that is a challenge as well. I mean, it's not like you can open a book and say, there's this, 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 and this, and this, what's the answer? It's kind of very fluid. So that's also a challenge. So if you're not a goal-driven kind of almost aggressive in finding the answer, finding what you need, being resourceful, then it could be a challenge for you.
Can you tell us about maybe a certain experience that you had that
As
stands
far
out?
as
That you had a challenge that, hey, like I need to find some assistance, find a mentor. I mean, somehow that you overcame a certain
I mean,
situation, maybe a tough
every
transaction.
yeah, I mean, a lot of them are tough because you're not only dealing with your client, you're dealing with another real estate agent. So if that other real estate agent is combative or argumentative or emotional or whatever the situation is, because they're representing their client, I'm representing my client. At the end of the day, we're working toward the same goal. And I always recognize that, but not all agents do. So it's challenging. It's challenging working with other individuals on the opposite side of it. And then you have so many moving parts. So it's not just the other agent, it's the title company, it's the lender, it's the inspector, it's the appraiser. So there's many, many moving parts that go into buying a house. And it's not like it's a 1 day transaction. It's a relationship that you form with your clients as a fiduciary in their best interest, and you see them from start to finish. So it's a lengthy transaction. There's many steps along the process. But I always encourage people. So when you say, a specific trial or whatnot, it's all challenging. Everybody's situation is different. If someone's credit score is off, they may not qualify for a loan. If their debt to income ratio isn't what it needs to be, they may not be able to get into that house. People can be in a lease. Maybe their landlord won't let them out of the lease. There's just a lot of different variables. It's very, very dynamic in general. So there's a lot.
Got it.
It's
And
not
that's
always easy.
understandable.
It's not always easy, but for me, my goal is just simply helping people. So as long as that's your goal, you'll be successful in real
That's a
estate.
great point of view. Absolutely.
You just have to
Just
be,
be,
yeah, you have to be, I'll do anything to get a sale and to get someone into their home, and to make it come to fruition. I'll do anything to make it happen, So if people need help with finding movers, if people, whatever it might be that I
yeah,
can do within my license, I'll do to make it happen because I'm just there to help people, right?
that's a great philosophy to take.
Yes. Yep. And I
Now,
always tell,
mhm.
I always tell people too when they're thinking about getting into real estate, um, look at some resources on our economy. You know, it's always better to build equity and pay your own mortgage than to pay the landlord's mortgage. You know, you might be surprised at what you can and can't afford or what you can and can't do. And the first step is is to speak with a lender, a bank, a broker. All of these people can help you with the financial part to become a homeowner. And a lot of people don't exactly know their position in the market. You need to know your position. You need to know what's your credit score, your debt to income ratio. You need to know what you might qualify for. And if it can't happen, you know, what will it take for it to happen? And then you have a goal to work toward, because building equity is a very powerful thing.
Right.
And that's leverage on your side that you can take advantage of for many different reasons. So,
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. There's a lot of tax advantages, a lot of things that were put in place to benefit home ownership, right? That's something that we've been sold on, the American dream, right? You know, have a house, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And again, the laws are kind of leveraged towards that side of home ownership. So there's a lot more benefits of doing that. And
absolutely.
That's why a lot of people have been buying houses for most of our, you know, recollectable history, right?
Yeah.
Now, but let me ask you something. As a real estate agent, I mean, what were some of the things that you were doing? You know, you mentioned some open houses. What were some of the things that were generating new prospects for you, new business for you now, that like back in those days versus now? What are you doing now? Like, what are the differences?
Yeah, sure. So another thing that people don't know about the industry is that realtors are highly preyed upon, highly preyed upon in the industry, meaning lead generation companies come out of the woodwork and they're prospecting to you more than they are the leads that they're promising you, right? Because that's the thing. When you're a realtor, you have to look for your paycheck every day. If you don't have someone that's buying or selling, you're not making income. So you have to find multiple people buying and selling over and over and over. So that's a challenge in and of itself. So open houses is excellent. It always will be in my mind. That's my number one source of prospecting and lead generation. And then you have other things, right? So it's kind of controversial because a lot of seasoned agents wouldn't maybe necessarily agree. But what are consumers using? Zillow, Realtor, Zillow, and Realtor.com. These are two companies that consumers know about, right? They have built their brand to everyone knows the name. And so Zillow actually is now a licensed brokerage. So technically they are really my competition. But the fact remains that people are using it. So you can do a lot of different things. You can farm a neighborhood. You can send out flyers. You can get involved in your community. You can do open houses. You can purchase leads from lead generation companies. You can get on social media and build a presence and a brand. You know, you can do Google pay per click on your website. There's a lot of different ways you can generate business, and you have to be multifaceted for it to all work.
So what's working for you, or what's worked for you in the past? All of you. Okay.
All of it. You have to do all of it, and a lot of it is trial and error. But you know, if you don't have a really big social media following, or if you don't have a sphere of influence, or if you don't have, you know, family and friends here and that you can kind of build off, or you didn't go to school here or something where you're at, you know, you can also, you can purchase leads. You could purchase that, you know, if you have to. So it's expensive. That's another thing that people don't know is how extremely expensive real estate is. I mean, there are so many costs involved. And when people see your commission, they think that, wow, that's a lot of money, but they don't understand the cost involved. So you're paying your broker. Okay. Your broker takes a huge cut of your commission. And then you have other expenses. You have marketing expenses. You have signs. You have your website costs money. A CRM costs money. If you do open house flyers, it costs money. If you have food there, it costs money, and drinks and pens and marketing material and notebooks. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. And then you have dues. You have to pay for a lockbox. You have to pay your realtor dues. You have to pay for continuing education. It's a lot of expenses. So if you're not producing, you can very easily get into debt very quickly. And they say real estate is a very expensive hobby. So
there's a saying back when I was doing real estate. This was pre 2008, which was it went down like nothing ever before. Hopefully, it doesn't go down that way this time around, because there are some markers that are showing otherwise. But I remember all those costs, the lot boxes, all those things, and we used to have a saying, it's common. It was a feast or famine type of business.
Yes, it still is.
It still is. So let me ask you with that, what's worked for you? Because you've been doing this a couple of years. What's worked for you to minimize that effect? What do you do in your practice?
Sure. When I got started, you really need to have at least 1 year of your salary in a savings account. You really do. And I would tell anybody that you really, really do, because you have to ride the storm. You have to ride the waves. So if you have a mortgage payment that's due, I'm not in control of when you buy a house or sell a house. You have to want to buy and sell a house. I'm just here to help you. So I don't necessarily get paid when I need to be paid. I'm paid when a transaction's complete and somebody makes a purchase. So in order to do that, you have to be financially responsible and be able to ride the storm.
Got it. So you recommend about 12 months worth of salary in a savings account.
Yes.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're going to have a lot of expenses, and you're also going to have to live. So on top of your expenses, you have to, you're going to have to live. If you go out today and, say you got your real estate license, you go out today and I'm your client, we still have to find me a house. We have to find me a house. We have to find one we like. We have to get financing taken care of. And then we have to go under contract. And usually the quickest that will happen after we go under contract is 30 days. Even if it's cash, sometimes there's HOAs involved and there's documents that have to be received, and it takes time. So it's not a quick thing. And that's why I say it's good to have 1 year of your salary at least in a savings account, so that you have that cushion to fall back on to be able to still pay your bills and feed your family.
Got it. No, that's great advice. I think that's actually practical advice for anybody that's even going into any type of business. Have a good amount saved, and so I'm glad you were able to ride that storm.
Yeah, I mean, and things have changed. So the hot market that I initially got into has very much cooled down. And so the thing with real estate is that people will always be buying and selling for different reasons, right? And a lot of people will buy in a down market. People that are able to, people that have cash, people that want to invest, things like that. People that want to avoid a capital gains tax, they'll sell their property and they'll invest in another one for a 1031 exchange tax deferment. There's always people that will buy and sell real estate, but the interest rates have gone up. They have gone up. They're in the 7s. So when you go from a 2% interest rate to a 7% interest rate, you're going to feel that effect in the economy. Good markers to look at is our gross domestic product. So when you look at the GDP, you can see, Is the number good? Is it bad? You can look at the consumer price index, and that's an indicator of inflation.
Got
So,
it.
are we producing products? How's our economy as a whole? I have mixed feelings on it because the feds had introduced, $2 or $3 trillion into the economy, and then we had stimulus spending. So of course our GDP was up, but was it, or was it because of that? And that with the consumer price index, inflation it's up there. We did just have a price drop. My lender was telling me about. And so that's good. I'm excited, but the rate has consistently gone up. And they say if rates are going up and inflation's going up for 2 quarters length of time, you're headed toward a recession.
Mm.
So there's a lot of challenges, but it's definitely changed where, people that were thinking about buying, people that were buying just because interest rates were so low, those people are no longer buying, right? It's people that have to buy and sell currently. But the market is very volatile. It changes all the time. So that's just kind of what I'm seeing in my little niche of the world.
So but you said it's slowed down. So you're saying it's slowing down.
Yeah.
Got it. So, I mean, what are
Yeah.
you
So
doing to
when I
prepare
look
for
on
that?
what's that?
What are you doing to prepare for that, or what are you doing right now to like?
Just being informed. So when I check the MLS every day, and what we're seeing now is more price reductions than new inventory, right?
Mm.
So we're not really in a buyer's market per se because the interest rates are high. But when I say high, they're higher than they were. We're actually kind of normalizing. So a lot of people thought that 2% interest rates were the norm. Those were historically low. They're not going to
Right.
get low like that. I mean, I don't know that they'll ever be that low. We never know, but they were historically low. So when you look at the 100-year Treasury yield, the interest rates go up and down, they fluctuate, but a normal would be like 4.5, 5.6.
Yep.
That's the normal interest rate. The problem that we're seeing is the inflation.
Got it.
But once the prices start to come down a little bit and normalize, I think we're going towards normalizing. Everyone that I talk to and all the people that are really smart and study it, finances for a living, they're saying we're probably not going toward a recession, but things will normalize. So
That's great.
Yeah, I think so.
That's very optimistic. I mean, I was watching one of the business, leaders that I follow is Patrick Bet-David. He has his own podcast, Valuetainment. He was showing some of the rates that were, again, he was saying the same thing. Historically, we've been really, really low, 2, 3, 4%. But if you think back into the 80s, looking back into history, they were at the 8%, 10%, 12% for over a decade.
Yeah.
So hopefully we won't get up to those numbers.
No.
Playing in the market with a 10% interest rate.
Yeah.
But it could happen.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We never know. The only thing that you can do is look at the GDP and the CPI, and even that's not really indicative of the future. It's indicative of, it just shows where we're at currently. And that's really all you can do, because we don't know. We don't know what interest rates are going to do. I don't know what interest rates are going to do. It's not like there's some secret and they're just, we don't tell anybody, or,
Right.
Lenders aren't telling, we don't know what the feds are going to do and if they're going to raise the rate or lower it. But like you said, yes, and historically, I mean, we're not at an extremely high interest rate. It's inflation, right? So back in the 80s or 70s, when our parents were buying houses, they could buy a house for $40,000, $50,000.
Right.
Now we saw such a rise in the home prices in such a short amount of time that I think we're not, that might be over. But it was very crazy. I mean, we were having people going over asking price, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, doing an appraisal waiver. So that's not fun as a real estate agent, right? Because I don't ever want to advise you, hey, pay more than this house is worth. unless
Right.
you're able to, unless your plan is to stay there for a long time. You don't want to be upside down in your payment. And at the same time, if people need a home, they didn't have a choice. In order to get into those homes, they had to compete.
Got it.
So
Yeah, it
things
makes
have calmed
sense.
down.
Yeah,
It
we all
does. And
heard that.
things have calmed down. I'm glad that they've calmed down, personally.
Yeah, because I personally was looking for something and I was like, I don't know if I want to be in this market where I'm having to pay more and be in a bidding war with somebody to buy like an investment property or something. That's just not my
Yeah.
ideal buying conditions. But
Yeah.
um,
It was 20, 40 offers on
mhm,
one property. That's a
right.
lot. That's a lot. That creates a lot of competition. So that's
So
not
it's
fun for anybody.
right. Exactly. I would just imagine as a real estate agent, yeah, it's a good time to be in it, but it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of like, hey, I have to put this many offers in, and my buyers are getting disappointed. They lost a house. These people want to live there. They see the future there, and then they lose the house, and it must have been devastating for some of your clients
It
if that
really
happened.
is. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And you know what? It's hard on the sellers too, because then they're having to
Mm.
look at, 20 offers and they're, oh my God, I don't know which one. So it's hard on everybody in a market like that. Um, but it's definitely calmed down a lot. So
So,
I'm personally grateful for that.
talking about the prices you were saying, and we're towards the end of 2022, right? Let me ask you a question because I mean, with prices still being high, they're just coming down barely, but they're still high historically. I mean, is the American dream still affordable?
You know what? That's a good question. It is. It absolutely is. I will always tell people, it's better for you to build equity in something that you own that belongs to you. You can take loans out against that equity. Okay, you can build your credit, and it's your house. It belongs to you. Um, that's a much better picture if you're able to do it than, again, to pay someone else's mortgage. So either
Mm,
way, you're paying. So if you can afford to
right.
pay your own mortgage, that's the ideal way to go. Yes, the American dream is still alive. You can still do it. There's plenty of options out there for you. You need a good realtor. You need a great lender. You need a team to help you. Okay, when rates are high or if inventory is low, this is when you need qualified, good representation, right?
Mm,
And there's different options for you. There's rate buy downs. There's 2-1 buy downs where you can buy down the interest rate for length of time. Or you can there's a lot of different options. I always tell people, a lot of people, what I see too, is that a lot of people don't know the cost. When you initially buy a house, you have to have a down payment usually. You need a
yeah.
down payment. There's costs involved, closing costs, the cost to borrow money.
Mm,
These are expenses a lot of people don't realize. You need earnest money, you need option fee money, you need inspection money, you need appraisal money.
right.
So these are all expenses. So you want to have a good little nest egg of money saved up um, when you start looking. And then talk with
Got
a
it.
financial advisor, financial planner, your bank, a credit union, a lender, a broker, and see where you're at. What's your credit score? Because a lot of people don't know. They don't know financially where they're at. And that's leverage for you. Just knowing that information is leverage for you.
Got it.
And it
I
gives
have
you
two
something
questions.
to work toward.
I got two questions with that, Kate. I saw a recent article. I don't know if it's been put down, but if it's up, I'll put it on the screen sometime during the interview. But I think it was by Bank of America, and I don't have the exact figures. They came up with a new loan, and this reminded me of the pre-2008 situation because it said 0% down, no credit. It's kind of like get
Yeah.
into the house. What do you think about that? Do you think
Um,
that lenders should give out loans like that, like 0% down, no closing costs, Like no doubt. What do you think?
So, couple things. So, nothing is free. Do your due diligence, right? So, if you have down payment assistance, okay, and some people may need that, and that's great, that it's there for them, but be aware, okay, that you're going to make that up in an interest rate,
Mm,
or you're going to pay that back when you sell the home. Okay, so nothing's free. So there's always a cost. So just do your due diligence, do your research, talk to a qualified lender, and find out what it entails. What do I have to do for this down payment assistance? Is it a higher rate? Do I have to pay it back? What is it? But
right.
it's nice that the option is there. I like for people to be informed on what it truly is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing's free. Nothing is free.
Got it.
But yeah, there's all different types of programs. As a realtor, I work with the lender, I work with the bank, and they handle all of that, and I handle the contracts and finding the homes and selling the homes. But the banks are heavily regulated by the FDIC. Okay, they have their products. They have government-backed loans and mortgage securities through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Okay, and they offer VA loans and USDA loans, conventional loans, and FHA loans. They have their products. Then you have a lender who works to also get you a loan, and they have their products. Okay, then you have a broker. A broker can actually go through multiple avenues to find you the best rate and the best product. Okay, and they don't service the loan. They actually receive compensation when they originate the loan or sell the loan. And then what was the other one? Bank, broker, lender. Oh, and then credit union. Okay, the credit union has a board, and they determine what they're going to do with their funds. And so they might have different programs. So there's all different types of organizations that can get you a loan. So the FDIC encourages consumers to shop around. Don't just go with one. See what products and who has the best rate, who has the best terms, who has the best conditions for you, and do it
Yeah.
that way. They recommend that to consumers, and I agree.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a free market, right? They have a product and the FDIC approves it. I mean, it's legal, right? Then I
Mhm.
think it's an opportunity. But like you said, as a consumer, one should also do their own due diligence and realize that nothing is free. Is this going to put me in a bad financial situation? But I'm
Yeah.
glad there's options for people out there.
Right, exactly. Well, and but the thing is, like, when you're renting, that's just all free money going to your landlord. You're building your landlord's equity, you're building your landlord's credit. And I understand not everybody can, they maybe don't have the financial means or credit or the ability, but at least you could work toward it. Or you can I encourage you to find out where you're at, because you can build wealth investing in real estate. You
Right.
can basically use other people's money to buy and sell real estate, and you can gain wealth that way. You know,
As an
it's something that I
investor
want to do
and also as a homeowner, right? Is
as a
that what you're
homeowner or an
saying?
investor. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people saying that. What are your thoughts on, a lot of people saying that it's becoming more of a renter's economy, versus, you're
Well,
renting out,
rent is the thing is with rent. It's going to go up. It's going to go up every year.
Mhm.
It's just the way that it works. And now it's like the rents they're up there. I mean, I can absolutely help people find rental properties, but I always tell people, if you're able to buy, that's the best route. If you can't, then rent for a period of time and have a plan. And then, you can become a homeowner. But and another thing too, because interest rates have increased a bit, you don't have to you don't have to not buy a house because of that. You do have the ability to do what's called a refinance. So if you're needing to get into a place and you can get approved for a loan and you find a home that you love, you can get in that home. And there's something called a refinance where you can refinance if and when the rate goes down. So, that's an option too.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think they
Right.
automatically think, oh, rates are high, but if they still want a home, a nice house, to build and stay there, because I mean, also I've looked at the pros and cons of like, do I rent this place? Do I buy this place? And I looked at some if you're gonna be in the place for like 5 years, because there's transactional and moving costs, right? So if you're gonna be there for 1 year, okay, are you gonna buy a house for a year? Take all
Right.
those costs. Or am I gonna, so, but if you're gonna be there long term, I mean, it makes sense to buy
Right.
something, in my opinion, based from what I've seen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can always invest in your home and in the hopes that it will appreciate the value.
Got it.
Yes, but with rent, you're just paying your rent every month for your landlord to build his equity.
Right. I mean, that's true. It's something to have. Hopefully, people can understand that and kind of consider that. And you're still saying that buying is still something that's always going to be better than renting. And I
Yes.
think that's something my mom used to say all the time when I was growing up. So
yeah,
that's what
she was right.
That's wisdom.
That is wisdom. Yes, that's true.
Let me ask you something from your experience as a real estate agent. I mean, what is some advice you would give somebody, aside from what you already said, to somebody that's wanting to enter the real estate market, like as a real estate agent or just in real estate in general as an investor? What would be some advice?
Okay, so for a real estate agent, I would say definitely save money. Okay, go into it with a nice little chunk of change saved and with realistic expectations. Like I said, no one really tells you that side of real estate, that every day you're kind of looking for your paycheck, that you have a lot of expenses, that you're going to have to pay a lot. People don't know that. And just go for it. It can be very rewarding. I've done very, very well and I've been blessed, but I never take it for granted, but I truly enjoy it. And yeah, I would just encourage, if somebody's wanting to get into it, look for a brokerage that offers great training and coaching, because when you're out there, it's much different than what you think or see on TV or what you think it may be. You're out there and there's real live things going on right in front of you in real time. And so you need a good coach and you need a good network, even other agents that can help you, experienced, seasoned agents, because there's a lot of variables that come up and you can't really read about it in a book. It just comes with experience in doing it over and over and over in different transactions. There's so many different avenues of real estate. Focus on one. Do you want to do commercial real estate? Do you want to do investing? Do you want to do residential real estate? Do you want to sell strip malls, industrial real estate? There's different avenues that you can go down. Focus on one. And the best advice would be find a niche, something that's going to kind of fill your cup. Divorce attorneys is a niche. First-time home buyers is a niche. Find something. Working with veterans, just find something and focus on that, hone in on that, and then get experience and kind of build momentum that way. And I do think, you do have to have kind of a certain personality for real estate. You have to be good with people. You have to serve. You have to want to serve others. You have to want to help other people. It cannot just be about money, and you can make a wealth of money selling real estate, but it has to be about, the focus has to be on helping others. And as long as that focus is there, then you'll be successful, because people will want to work with you and they understand and recognize authenticity. People pick up on that.
Totally.
And your reputation is very important in this industry. So not all agents are the same. And a lot of people have had a bad experience with a realtor, or they may, think of a realtor like a used car salesman or something. And that's always really unfortunate when I hear about things like that, because you don't kind of sort of realize it as a consumer until you're done. And then you're like, oh, that wasn't the best, or I'm not too happy about that. I didn't feel like that went very well. So, but at that point, it's already happened. So I do see that a lot. And then I would say on the investing side, know your market, know your economy. You can look at the U.S. I actually have it pulled up, the U.S. Consumer Confidence website, and you can see what the numbers are for the Consumer Price Index, and also look at our GDP. It's the number one indicator how our economy is doing as a whole. What are we producing? What are we selling? Like, are we doing well? Are we not? Not so much. And if numbers are down 2 quarters in a row, that's indicative of a recession. So look at those numbers, follow your market. If you're going to get into investing, take some investing classes, talk with other investors, get with groups, investing groups, go on Facebook, social media, Instagram, Snapchat, and just, you have to, it's like an immersion industry.
Got it. Yes.
So that's the best way, is really, I think, is immersion, at least for me. Just get out there and be around like-minded individuals, whatever that may be, investing, becoming a realtor.
Got it. So it's like you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
This is true.
Hang out with investors.
Hang out with investors, wealthy investors. Yes. It's a wealth mindset. So
I couldn't agree more. Let me ask you one question, a follow-up question to that, because that's general advice you would give somebody getting into real estate. But looking back from when you started to where you are now, what advice would you give young Cait when she first started? If you could go back and tell her something, what would you tell her that would maybe propel you to a even higher level?
I would say, hey, don't do what everybody else is doing. Look and follow the people that are successful, which I figured that out pretty quickly, right? Because I knew those statistics. I knew it was like 90%, something crazy, of realtors fail within their first year. So I'm not going to do what 9 out of 10 people are doing. I'm going to do what 1 out of 10 people are doing, the successful one, and follow that. But that's another thing. It's a competitive industry. So you don't have a ton of agents showing you the path to wealth and success. Right. But I don't have that mentality. I have a wealth mentality, and there's enough to go around. I just want a little piece of the pie.
So with that in mind, I mean, how do you get these people to open up? I know some of these people are busy. They have assistants. They have these. What was your approach to actually was it just observation, or was it, hey, let me meet with you over coffee? What is your advice with that?
Well, this is a relationship industry, right? It's not meant to be, and it's not like a transaction industry. For a long time we had Zillow, and there's companies like Open Door that are they're trying to do transactions and take the realtor out of it. But people want to work with someone. They want someone to help them along the way. And so it's a relationship business. So to answer your question, it's relationships. You have to network. You have to get the right connections. You have to have a great title company, right? That's going to help you when you're under contract, to make sure that there's no clouds on that title. There's no encroachments. There's no liens we don't know about. You know,
Right.
you need a good lender, a good broker, you need people on your team
Right.
that are good. So you just have to go out there.
So having good relationships with your team of people, but what I'm referring to is
The other agents.
people, yeah, the agents that are, hey, like the 1% of agents, like how do you get them to open up about their business? Just some general advice. Is it just
Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I mean, if you get with a good brokerage that does a lot of training, you know, success leaves clues, and they'll tell you, you know, Gary Keller has a lot of great books, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So it's like success leaves clues. So for me, one thing that I did, you know, I was like, I need to start building my internet business up, right? And I need a great website. So you can go on people's websites and you can scroll to the bottom and see who is providing their website and CRM. So that is one thing that I did. And then I started researching from there. And you know, there's different ones. There's Chime, there's Boomtown, there's all different, Lone Wolf and this and that. There's all different kinds of websites and CRMs. And like I mentioned earlier, this industry, realtors are preyed upon. I get so many phone calls for solicitations, and you don't know what works and what doesn't. And that's why I think a lot of new realtors fail, is because you don't know. A lot of it is just trial and error. And if you have a family member or a good friend that's a realtor, that's excellent. You're already one step above. You already have leverage, because I'm telling you, it's not. People are competitive. It's very cutthroat. It's very competitive, and they're not always willing to tell you the exact path of how they got where they're at. You know, but you'll figure it out, and the more you're around it, you'll see. You know, oh, this agent is working with an investor. You know, because I can see every house that they have, every listing that not every listing, but a lot of the listings that they have look the same. It's the same interior. It's the same flooring, the same paint. It's an investor, right? They're working with an investor. So just different things. It's not really like a one answer, you know, it's just doing different things, and success leaves clues. So if you look, and you'll find good agents that will share things with you, you know, maybe not the whole book, but maybe they'll give you a page.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all about it, you know.
You know, hopefully maybe we'll, you know, if somebody watching this wanting to get into real estate, they'll reach out to you and ask for some advice from you. Maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I mean, if I continue doing it, exactly. Yeah. If I continue, I'd love to have my own brokerage, become a broker.
Well, that's actually one of my last questions I have for you is like, where do you see yourself like in 5 to 10 years?
If the economy is the way that it is, or is not heading into a recession, which I hope that it's not, and even if it is, there's still always going to be people buying and selling. But I'd love to have my own brokerage, be licensed, and have a team, you know, and just be growing and expanding and helping people. Investing myself and my husband want to invest for sure. That's definitely on my list, is to invest myself, have some property. Awesome. So I think, the more that I'm in it and everything, the more that I'll grow in those ways. And that's the other thing, is there's so many different ways that you can use your real estate license, that you can make income, and that you can help people with your license. So it's nice.
Okay.
It's a nice opportunity.
Well, you know, I look forward to seeing that. You know, we're friends on Facebook, and I look forward to having that dream of yours come to fruition for you and Scott.
Thank you.
Last question, Cait, where can people find you?
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, I'm in DFW, but I'm more on the Fort Worth side. But you can find me on my website, which is justsoldbycait.com, and it's CATE. And then my email is also justsoldbycait@gmail.com. and then always by phone and Facebook as well. Caitlin
Okay.
Kirk. Hmm.
We'll put it on the description below. That way people can conveniently reach out to you.
Okay, yeah,
Any
absolutely.
last parting words? Anything you'd like to say?
Just the American dream is still alive.
The American dream is still alive. Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, Kate. Thank you so much for your time. I will see you around, and if I hopefully, my own personal situation will be where I can get another house,
Yes.
either that or an apartment complex or some type of investment. I'll definitely know who to reach out to.
Exactly. I'll be here when you need help. Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Kate.
All right, take
Thank
care,
you.
Abdel.
Awesome. So hopefully you guys liked that interview. I know that I took some notes myself, and what I gathered from it, and I'll reiterate some of those. What I appreciate from the interview, and hopefully you did too, is basically understanding their struggles to basically like starting almost any business. I don't know any business that's not doesn't have their own struggles, right? So it's going to be growing pains, startup pains, and it's something that we talked about. So I'm glad she was able to give us some key points into that, especially learning from seasoned professionals, people that are excelling at their field. I can't reiterate or kind of go over that more often or highlight that even more of like how important it is to actually, not necessarily try to figure things out. You should, but also learn from other people's mistakes. That way you prevent yourself from making those mistakes. Even then, with that, it's difficult. And then also what I loved about the interview is that she said the American dream is still alive. I mean, a lot of people are like, am I actually going to own a home anymore? Like, am I going to get a house anymore? That's something that's actually, a valid question that a lot of people have been asking themselves, especially now. And it's kind of short term because it's only been a month or two since the interest rate's been up, speaking this November of 2022. And, people talk about the recession, this and that going on. Some people are, pessimistic, reasonably. And we've all seen all kinds of situations, but again, I still love it. It's a very optimistic view, and I think we as people here in America are very good to be optimistic about the future of things being bright. I think it's a good thing. I'd rather personally be optimistic and wrong sometimes than be pessimistic and right all the time, right? So, but I still love it. I mean, it gives us hope that one day you too, if you haven't bought a house and you're looking for a home to raise a family, that there is still a chance. So it's still alive. I definitely love that. So thank you, Cait, for that. And then also some practical advice on the advantage of owning real estate. I mean, again, she said it a couple times. Like if you rent, you're paying your landlord's rent or your landlord's mortgage, right? So there's pros and cons to that, of course, but again, there's a lot more advantages, and I encourage you guys to kind of go through that and look at the advantages of owning a house versus renting, because there are laws that were put in place by, individuals lobbying, et cetera, to actually have these tax breaks and advantages for homeowners, and so forth. But also, what I really appreciated is that I also wanted to ask her questions as people, as business owners, as people that are interested in getting into real estate. Is this still a viable career? Is this still something that you should get into? Because people are wondering, should they get the real estate license? Yeah, of course. It's something that a lot of people think. I've done it before. I sold real estate in the past, pre-2008, as I mentioned. It was difficult. I was the youngest real estate agent in my office back then, but I did good too. But again, 2008 hit, that's something where I didn't have certain things in place that I know now. But we are where we are, and there's no regrets there. But she gave us some advice into, if you were to get into real estate now, what would you do, and how should she go about it. And then again, the vision for herself. You heard her. She'd like to actually have a brokerage one day where she has a team, and I think it's a dream for a lot of people, having their own business. So I'm glad she was able to cast that out there and put that out there, because hopefully it goes well for her. And I think she does definitely have persistence, and I think she can do it. It's okay. I know you're watching this, so I think you can do it. Just continue, and of course there's the economy and so forth, but I think at the end of the day, like you said, there's always going to be people buying and selling, and if you figure out how to capture those people, you will be fine, as well as others that are feeling the pressures of the economy and dealing with their own challenges in their own business. So I won't go into that much, but if you guys do have any questions for Cait, I know that she will be reading the comments below. I went ahead and included the information. I'm going to go ahead and add that in the description and so forth. Her contact information, so if you have any questions about real estate and so forth, if you're looking for a house and you're in the DFW area, or if you're just looking for a house in general, I'm sure she can just give you some advice and maybe be able to refer you to somebody that's trustworthy and knowledgeable as she was. So again, thank you for watching the podcast today via YouTube. And I do want to say, don't forget to comment below for a chance to get any book that you want, up to a $20 limit. I'll go ahead and order that for you and send it to you, no cost, no shipping, just for commenting on the video. Share this with your friends. Hopefully they gain something from it. And then also it does help the algorithm, and it helps us show this video a lot more. So I personally thank you for helping me get these videos, and hopefully it's knowledge, and it's something that you're seeing value in and learning something. And again, if you have a certain person that you want me to interview, or know somebody that would be a good fit to actually bring onto the show, so I can ask them some questions that you may want to know. Like previous interviews that I had, I know that I asked questions that are questions that a lot of people may not be able to easily be found on the internet. So again, thank you for watching. I look forward to you watching the next one. Thank you so much. You have a great one. Thank you.